Welcome to my channel. It is Tina Stitches. Today is January 7th, 2023, and I am doing a special episode. I'm going to be doing a finish / whip / plans parade. Hopefully I can get this all done in one afternoon, and you'll be able to see it tomorrow. And today is pretty gray. It's actually cleared up. The sky is quite clear and blue. Not a lot of snow in the last couple days, so that's kind of a good thing, but it's also kind of irritating because I have dogs and they go outside. You know what they do outside, and it's not pretty. So, you know. C'est la vie. So, I first of all brought out all of my finishes because I don't have a lot. So I thought, well, I'll share those first, get them out of the way. Turns out it took probably close to an hour to find them all, because my house is still in a state of chaos. Christmas has not been completely put away. I didn't even really put much out, so yeah. I brought out one little tiny box of ornaments and my stockings that I've stitched over the years, and that's about it. And they're still not put away. Oh well. Speaking of Christmas, this is the first finish that I had in 2022. In January, I finished Crystal Christmas by Mirabilia, and I have to look at my notes here because it was one of my oldest whips, and I had started it in 2016, I believe around September of 2016, and it was still a whip at the beginning of 2022, and I did get it finished, and it's been a while since you've seen it, and yes, I should have had it framed and hanging up for this Christmas, but I didn't. It's in the bin of shame. Shame it's not framed. And here it is. My first finish for 2022. There's so much to it. There's lots of beads, cryneck. If you ever do this, I recommend changing the cryneck to the number 4 instead of the number 8. And in the tree here also is something called Arctic Rays, which is a fuzzy, tinsely type fiber. Don't know how well you got to see that because it's big and floppy and hard to show. It's also kind of hard to photograph until it's properly framed. That's where that one's at. And the next finish for January of 2022 was my Riolis Biscornu, which I felt took a very long time because this is stitched 1/1 full crosses on 25 count. And the kit did not have enough of the gold metallic braid, so I subbed in one that I had. But everything else was from the kit. No. Scratch that. I changed out the beads. The beads were kind of plasticky looking, so I changed them out for Mill Hill glass beads. That was finish number 2. Finish number 3 was this. It is not quite that blue. I dyed this fabric. This is Sunflower Street by Victoria Sampler. I stitched it in the called for. I believe I had the called for colors for this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. I think actually I had the accessory pack. So yeah. I think I had the accessory pack. I mean, I must have, because I had the yellow ribbon, and the yellow ribbon and the metallic threads were in the accessory pack. So there's that. That's finish number 3 for 2022. Finish number 4. I started to fully finish it, but I did not get around to it. And I should. There's no reason why it's not finished, except that what I had in mind for it was not going to be this big. And so that's why it's kind of on hold, but I think it would make a nice project bag. So this is Sunshine on a Stem by, I believe it's Hands On Design. And I stitched it with, I changed out colors for my own colors because I did not have the called for overdyes. The pattern came with the felt. And I had this fabric, my husband gave me the fabric for Christmas last year. So the pattern was also a Christmas gift, and I got it finished in February. I believe it was the Hands On Design, Focus on a Designer. She was the designer of the month, and that was the only pattern that I had by her, so it was a fun one. Fun and quick. So that was in February. From March to June, no finishes. And if you've watched my channel, you know why. I stitch on a lot of big things. I need to take care of my dog right now. Okay, well, as you can tell, I was outside with the dogs. The shading will disappear soon. Okay, so I did not do any finishing because I do big projects, and so some of them last for years, like you saw with Crystal Christmas. Some of them I can get done fairly quickly, like you saw with Sunshine on a Stem. Others languish. But I did get a finish in July, and that was the biggest finish I've had since I started my channel. It was a Heaven and Earth Designs, and it was Beloved by Adele Sessler. It is currently away getting framed, but I will insert pictures here of the finished product, whatever pictures I have. So then August, no finishes in August either. I haven't wrote down where my new starts happened. Well, they're kind of in order here, but yeah, I had a couple of big starts in August, so that's why there was no finishes. September, I had 2 finishes. One of them was a start from the monthly magazine challenge group. I've had this one in my stash for a long time. Really wanted to stitch it. Decided to go ahead and stitch it. And I've used silks, and if they're not the called for silks, they're very close, in my opinion. I was going by the cover picture, which I do not have, but it was in a magazine, I want to say it was just cross stitch. And it's stitched on 32 count cream Belfast linen. And here is the finished product. As you can see, not very many of my finishes make it to framing. So there's a lot of specialty stitches in this, which are explained quite well in the diagrams. The part that I had the most problem with, and that was mostly my choice of thread, was the white marlet, which is rayon by Anchor, and I chose that to do the strawberry petals in when I could have used whatever the called for thread was. But I know strawberry petals are very silky, so I really wanted the sheen that the marlet gave, you know, instead of silk, right? That one, I would like to, I would like to get it framed, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. In the magazine, it was set up as a box topper, like a design that was put on the top of a box, a wooden box that you would use for jewelry or stitching accoutrements, things like that. But I think it would look better framed on the wall. Again, when will I get it framed? I should measure that actually and see if it'll fit a standard frame. Okay, so that and Owl Forest, Alice in Wonderland, free stitch along, which was released in, I believe it was 16 parts every couple weeks, and I stitched mine using my own conversion to overdyed threads and on a piece of raw linen that I had in my stash. God, the dog is so demanding. Just a minute. Okay. So, yeah, Owl Forest released this in about 16 parts. And I fell behind. I kept up for a little while, but then I fell behind. But I did get it finished. And again, this deserves to be in a frame on the wall, but in the bin of shame is where it will be for a while because this is big. This is stitched on 32 count raw Belfast linen that I had in my stash. I did change out a few pattern elements, such as that watch is in metallics. Some things I put in metallics, like the key. The doorway, I got the colors backwards. But I decided to just leave it. I mean, I had thought that the balance would be off. And maybe it is a little bit, but it doesn't bother me that much. What else did I change? I did try to change the fish character, the footman, right there. It was supposed to be a frog and a fish. And oh, it was charted with a coronavirus is in the place of the hedgehog here, but I decided I preferred a hedgehog, so I found one online on freebies somewhere and made it my own. Yeah. So that was a good finish. I feel like the caterpillar is missing a hookah, but I don't think it was charted with a hookah. Okay, then something else that started a long time ago. I believe it was 2017. Yeah, 2017 in what was previously known as Maynia, which was a Facebook group that did a lot of starts in May. And that Facebook group doesn't exist anymore. But I did my first Maynia in 2017, and I started all of the reindeer from the Christmas Eve Courier collection by Nora Corbett. And these are all stitched on 32 count Nocturne Belfast linen by Picture This Plus. And I did manage to finish one more in the entire year of 2022, and this is Dancer. So, finished with beads and charms, everything, just not framed. Now, some people may remember that when I first started these, I was unsure about putting in things like the tree line and such, because I wanted them all to perhaps look like they were flying through a stormy sky, but I decided I'm just gonna stitch them the way they're charted for the most part. There's still one that I haven't made up my mind about. And then in September, I also started and finished this is October. I don't remember if I started it in September. I could look back, but I think I started in September, finished it in October, and this is Wicked Cute Cat by Homespun Elegance. I won this pattern from Kim and Sarah over at Stitch and Stuff, and it was a blast to stitch. It was super easy. I did most of the stitching in Emerge when I had my throat problem initially. As you can tell, it is back to, I'm going to say 99% of what it was before I had gotten that cold. And this is stitched with my own conversion, and I still have the threads in the bag. I really need to put them back into my stash, but my stash is in my craft room, and my craft room is chaotic right now. Hopefully that'll be resolved soon. I'm off this week, and we have lots of things to do. So, you know, started off with a whip parade. So I did not do any kind of finishing on it because, honestly, I have another good chunk of fabric on here, and I think I would like to stitch whatever I'm going to stitch on here before I separate it. It's just easier to hold, less fraying and so on. And then I also finished this one. I finished the mouse part quite early. I want to say I finished the mouse in about July or September. But this is the mouse, Frisia. I don't have the, there's a cotton ball and a couple of charms that belong on her, but I just finished the other part, so now I can do all of the finishing. Let's see if it'll focus on her. Come on. How do they do that? Like this? There. This is a pattern by Just Nan. My son gave me the pattern and fabric and everything for it. I know it cost him a pretty penny. 'Cause yeah, it wasn't kitted like with the lengths of thread that you needed. It was full skeins of DMC. And the pattern itself was not cheap. Just Nan patterns can be quite expensive when they're exclusives, and this one wasn't exclusive. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get it done right away and not let it linger for, 10 years or whatever. And also, this piece of fabric that I got off of the Owl Forest was the perfect size that I had left over from that piece of fabric to do the other part of it, which is the scissor roll for the Just Nan mouse. Do I have something? Here we go. There's over one stitching for the cardinals. The rest is 2 over 2 with the called for DMC stitched on 32 count raw Belfast linen that I had in my stash. And this was my very first finish of 2023. I finished it, I believe it was New Year's Day. I could have, I probably could have finished it New Year's Eve, but I had things to do, so no stitching happened. So now it's just a matter of the fully finishing part of that. So that is all of my finishes. That was it. So that was 9 finishes in 2022. I had 13 starts. Oh, you know what? You didn't see this other finish. This is another finish that I had. This is a scissor fob by Shepherd's Bush. And it says, like a shepherd his sheep, my scissors I'll keep. I got it off a stash unload, and the charm that belonged on here was missing, so I went online and found a picture of a stitched, come on, of a stitched sheep, and I replicated it. So yeah, this was a finish. It was pretty early in the year. 2, 4. So that makes 10 finishes, including this one. Okay, so I started off 2022 with 24 whips. I ended with 25. So I had 13 new starts, and 5 of them were starts and finishes, which is something that I do like to get. I like to get some satisfaction out of a finish, and so doing a small project makes that happen a lot faster. There's projects in my whip pile, for instance the reindeer, that I probably could finish within a week. If I took 6 weeks, I could have the remaining 5 reindeer done, and the sunflower sampler that I had started in March or April, for the Stitch for Ukraine. But those are all, that close to being done, but for whatever reason I haven't picked them up. And so I'm going to move along. I'm going to put all my finishes away, and I'm going to bring out my whips and new starts, and then we'll go from there. I'll be right back.